to throw it to Sewell. He caught it. He Sewell on first down. Oh, yes. The big man dives down the 31-yard line. Oh, that is beautiful. Fields looking, pressured, hit from behind, taken down. Aiden Hutchinson got him.
No respect.
So, we look like we're ready. This is day one.
No respect.
All right. Good afternoon. Good evening, everybody. It's Will with Rocked On Detroit Lions. Sorry I'm a little bit late. I did finally get my voice back a little bit today. A lot of singing going on yesterday, a lot of cheering. And a lot of tears have been shed by a lot of Lions fans, and those are tears of happiness. Something happened at the end of the game there, last minute. My entire row, all of us Lions fans in 205, row 1, they were sitting. And they could see that the game was over. I know I put out a post and I said, Dan blew it. And the game's over. You could just tell there was one glimmer of hope getting an onside kick, but that was about it. And I think I'm going to retort on what I said about Dan blowing the game, because there's a lot of blame to go around for this team. Just about every opportunity was missed. You don't get up by that many points and allow the game to slip away. So everybody was sitting in row 1, and I looked at them all and I just said, look, you guys got to get up. You got to get up and you got to cheer these guys off the field the last minute of the game. And everybody got up and we cheered our team off the field for the hell of a season that we've had. And it's been an incredible run. I see somebody put in there an emotional roller coaster. That's what it's been. Justin May, the rapper, says the 49ers cheated. Yeah, I have not watched the game. I have not had an opportunity to do a replay from the televised side to see what happened or what didn't happen. As far as cheating, the one thing that I will say that I was very disappointed with is the 49ers stadium security had an issue with my banner, my sign, even though it was legit. They just didn't want it hung over the side. That was no big deal. I could have, brought it back, no problem. But they were making it out to be like it was illegal to have it there, and went on to say that he owns the stadium and it's his rules. But yet I said, well, what are you going to do about that guy up there, 20 rows up that has, a manual blowhorn who is blowing it every time the Lions are on offense? Those are not allowed. You can't have any sort of noisemakers in the stadium, period. And he said, oh, it's our stadium. It's our rules. We do what we want here. So very disappointed. I did tag the NFL in some posts where I mentioned that. And who knows, maybe I'll write a letter to him, because that's the kind of stuff that we don't want to see, right? We don't come into the game with blowhorns, or anything else to try to distract the offense. We use our lungs and our hands, and that's it. That's what everyone's supposed to bring into the game. It's about competition, and it's got to stay fair, but that's not why we lost the game. You can't get up by, 27 points, I think it was at one point. They had 27 unanswered points. And that's how you lose. You have to have a response. You can't go into the half, on the high that the Lions were on, and then come out in the third quarter completely flat on defense. I'm sure many of you remember one of the major things that I said the other day before the last minute pregame and on Friday's show, Thursday's show. I mean, I've said it the last few shows. The most important thing that needed to happen in this game on defense, was our chest had to be facing Purdy. Our defender's chest had to face Purdy. We had to keep everybody in front of us. And in that first half, the Lions did exactly that. They kept everybody in front of them. In the second half, that didn't happen. Nobody was watching Purdy because Purdy really wasn't running a whole lot in the first half. And then, man, he got out, I think, 3 times in the second half for big gains. I mean, just monster gains, even on third down, third and long. Third and long is our worst down this season. But I want to say something, though, that, again, who do you blame is what I keep hearing and seeing. There's so many people to blame. And people put it on Dan Campbell. I put it on Dan Campbell yesterday. That was my knee-jerk reaction from the stadium. But the more I thought about it on the drive back to the hotel, it wasn't on Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell believed in his players. He believed in the opportunity. He believed that they were going to rise above it. He bet on his players, and that's what a good coach does. He bet on his team to go out there and win the game. All they had to do was get that extra first down and keep the 49ers off the field. And all season long, he won more than 50% of those. And this should have been another game that we won it. So do you blame Josh Reynolds for dropping the ball? Huge drop. How about the incompletion to St. Brown? The one person that I'm going to tell you should not have any blame is Jared Goff. If I hear or see, and I haven't yet, but if I hear anybody blaming Jared Goff for anything, I mean, that guy came out and played a darn near perfect game, as perfect as he could. There was a lot of drops. Receivers dropping balls, big problem. Sam Laporta, our rookie, phenomenal game. Jahmyr Gibbs had a phenomenal game. Montgomery had a great game. Now, I should say first half. First half was incredible. They did everything that they wanted to do. But if you were to put direct blame on somebody for losing this game, Jared Goff puts that pass, on your hands, you got to catch it. Okay, but that's on the offensive side of the ball. I can't see anywhere putting any blame on the offensive side of the ball when your defense lets up 27 points. It's been our Achilles heel all season. Huge plays, explosive plays, broken plays, largely because of the defensive backs. I don't see where CJ Gardner really helped out this team a whole lot. I seen him get thrown around like a rag doll a few times yesterday. And even in the games that he's been back in, yes, he's our vocal leader. Yes, I would still love to see him back because there's not a price that you can put on that type of vocal leadership. And if he positively affects the team inside the locker room and on the field, I think that it's worth to have on the team. But we need a lockdown corner, as lockdown as they can get, at this point. All right, before I go any further, let me welcome everybody into the chat. Again, welcome to Rock Down Detroit Lions. This is just going to be a quick recap today. Quite honestly, I'm still exhausted. My voice still hurts. We went to San Francisco today to take in some scenery, just kind of reflect a little bit. Megan and I really haven't had an opportunity to do much in the last year or so, so it was a good opportunity for us. Welcome, Rick Grit. Josh Jackson. Justin May, the rapper. Man, I haven't seen you in here for a while. Mag 7 Life, Tracy, DM Ray, Austin Rurink, and I think that's about it right now. So full house, man. Welcome everybody into Rock Down Detroit Lions. Tell me what you guys think. Let's start with one question. If you were to put some blame on somebody or coach in this game, I mean, quite honestly, who would that person be, or positional group? I'm having a hard time with this one because there's so much that could really go around. You could blame AG. You could blame Dan Campbell for not taking timeouts, or taking a timeout. I think there was about 3.5 minutes or so. I believe we took a timeout early, and we only had 2 left on that final drive. If we would have had that extra timeout, potentially there was more opportunity to score quicker and leave more time on the clock. Do you put blame on Aiden Hutchinson? I mean, what did he do yesterday? Yeah, he had a few phenomenal plays in the beginning of the game, batting down some balls. Played great, half flat. Putting James Houston in, was that a mistake? What did he do? I don't even know how many snaps he got. And I've always said this too. It's hard when you're watching the game to watch everybody. It's different when you're watching it from TV where you can see the replays. We got 0 replays yesterday. The one person that I know that we can't blame is Cleet Blakeman, the referee. That was probably one of the cleanest called games I've seen all season. So congratulations, NFL. You finally got it right. You allowed the game to be just the game. I mean, the guys played an incredible game, both sides of the ball. But the referees let them play. They tried to get everything right. They talked about it. They didn't make rash decisions. There might have been some weird calls that really were not going to affect anything, but they didn't call anything that really affected the game in a bad way that, forced the team to lose. So congratulations, NFL. You finally got it right. And thank you for, Cleet Blakeman stepping up to the plate and doing what's right and just letting the chips fall where they may. That's all we asked. We just wanted a clean chance to go in there and prove to everybody that we belong here. And we do belong here. And that's next. This next season is going to be another season of growth and building an opportunity for this Detroit Lions team. So, all right, let me get to your answers here. Austin says it's everyone. 27 unanswered is not just one guy's fault. It's a great point. Tracy says defense to start. Mag 7 Life says, I want to keep Goff, though. I think we should have a 2-quarterback backfield. That's interesting. I don't know if they'll do that in the pros, but I want to see Hendon Hooker, get a little bit of time, even if it's preseason next year that we finally get to see him. I want to see what he looks like. I'm not saying that, Goff is going anywhere because he's not. And I guess to take that a little bit further, Goff has proven to everybody, he is the right quarterback for this team. By far, one of the best quarterbacks in the fourth quarter. He gets better throughout every game. He threw a clean game yesterday. He put that ball where it needed to be. There was maybe 1 or 2 throws I think that he would have loved to have had back, but at the same time, he put it where nobody else was going to be. It was either our guy was going to catch it or nobody. So sometimes it's just the way the cookie crumbles. Mag 7 Life says Hutch balled out. He just didn't get to the quarterback. And that's been a consistent problem all season. Brock Purdy gets surrounded, squirts out up the middle. That's a scheme thing. We had nobody with their chest to the quarterback ready to find Purdy and take him out. No, he would scamper 30 yards upfield before anybody realized what was going on. That's a huge problem. But it starts up front. Hutch needs to be able to get to these guys when, they're going longer than 3 seconds. There's no excuses. There are plenty other defensive ends in this league. And when I say plenty, we're talking 10 or less that can get to the quarterback without help. And Hutch just isn't able to finish. He's a great defensive end. He's not elite. We need help. We need some help along this line to help Hutch become a better player and utilize the skill set that he does have. I believe that Hutch is going to be a phenomenal piece to this team this next season. He had a little bit of a sophomore slump. He still had a wonderful season, but I feel like there's a lot more left on the field for him this year. He left a lot out there, and it's a learning experience for him. It's a growing season for him. Let's hope it's his last one, and it's his only one, and he just takes the escalator up a few levels next year. Whiskey Neat says it's going to take some time to process this. Go Lions. That's the thing I keep saying too is, man, I love my Lions. There's so many things that I could say of how impactful this season has been, not just for myself, but my family, friends, my father, all of you guys, Lions fans around the world now. This team is growing on people. And we're proving things. Finally, we're doing things that we haven't done ever, or at least in 66 years. We almost did it again. Steve K, welcome in. He says, late to the party. Did you talk about Dan Campbell losing the game for us yet? 6 points wins this game. Just saying. Hey, I said the same thing after the game. I thought that Dan blew it. going for it on those two fourth down calls. What I said earlier, Steve, is, Dan, he bet on his guys. Initially, I said he blew the game, and then I'm going to retract that because he bet on his guys. He believed in his guys. It's something that they've been doing all season. We're completing those. My question to you, Steve, would be this. How do you not blame Josh Reynolds for dropping the ball? How do you not blame 27 unanswered points on the defense and blame this game on the defense? Because the offense went in and won the game for you. And the defense held strong in the first half. And then it's like they all gave up in the second half. They felt like they had the game won. And then something changed. And again, I have not gone back to watch the tape, so I can't comment too much on, things schematically, what changed, what was different. Because I was kind of in a whirlwind of thoughts, if you will, during the game and just trying to pay attention to what was going on. George Vanderveen says, maybe I'm thinking excuses, but this year was year 3 of a 4-year rebuild from the mess that Quintricia built. That's a great statement, and that's something that I believe in too. I've been saying that we're a half a season ahead of ourselves. Now, that's no, slight of what our team did this season. I just think that we overachieved from a lot of people's expectations. And when I say that, it's because of what everyone said that we were and who we were going to be this season. Maybe 7 wins, maybe double what we did last year, which would have been 6. I never thought that for a moment. I put out there 12-5 in August, NFC champs in August. And then I think it was in September, after we got hot, after there's those first few games, I thought we were going to go 15-2. But I never would have thought that we were going to make this run. I thought that if we got to the playoffs and maybe got 1 win, I would have been happy with that. I think that would have been a very successful season. Now, I know that's not enough for Dan Campbell. I know that he wants to coach a team that can make it to the Super Bowl every single season. That's the check mark. That's there. That's the check box. It's unchecked for every single NFL coach every season. But I look at things realistically. You guys know that. I'm a fan, but I also look at things realistically. And I felt like we just needed that one extra draft that we are going to have in Motown this spring. To get the guys that we need to fill in the holes that we needed to fill in. And I think everybody sees those holes that are wide open. We need a true number 1 cornerback. Cam Sutton needs to slide it, to number 2. And then he'll get targeted there. But we need a true number 1 cornerback. We need a defensive end opposite of Aiden Hutchinson. We need a defensive tackle that is taller than 6'3" that can push this pile, that has big, tall arms that can bat balls down. Aleem McNeil, great player. He's not a game changer, in my opinion. Yes, he was ranked, high this year for the first half of the season. Injury aside, he had a great season, but we need a game wrecker inside at DT. We need to have somebody that if Aiden Hutchinson isn't able to do it, then that guy in the middle needs to be able to do it. And if neither of those guys can do it, the guy on the right side needs to be able to do it. And by the way, if all 3 of them can't do it, well, then we need a linebacker and Jack Campbell to have a phenomenal sophomore season next year. And he needs to get in on the action of getting after the quarterback. So there's a reason why I kept saying half a season ahead. And that's because we're short a few guys. It's those 3 guys on the defense that are going to make a huge impact for this next season. Austin says, I hope we go cornerback in free agency. Hey, I wanted Devon Witherspoon this last draft. I'm extremely ecstatic that we have Sam Laporta and Jahmyr Gibbs and Jack Campbell in place of, Devon Witherspoon was taken at 5, but instead of taking somebody like a Christian Gonzalez at 6, we moved back to do what we needed to do. So I wouldn't trade those picks for the world. Steve K says Holmes at MCDC knew that they needed a kicker in week 7. Go sign a Canadian football kicker, for crying out loud. Oh, crap. Where did your thing just go? Sorry, your chat disappeared. I don't know where it went. I'll find it. Give me just a second here. He says, go sign a Canadian football kicker for crying out loud. How is taking 6 points off the board not MCDC's fault? It is his fault. And I'm not going to say that it's not. That was his decision. His decision was, I'm going to bet on my guys. They're going to go get the first down. They're going to keep the 49ers offense off the field. They needed a momentum play, like Dan Campbell said. They needed that momentum back. And for whatever reason, our defense couldn't stop them, and he knew that. He knew that if we just gave them the ball back, they're just going to march right back down the field. Now, we had them stopped a handful of times. Third long, third mediums, and then they bust one. I mean, that crazy play to Ayuk should have never happened, but credit Ayuk, man. Incredible concentration. George Vanderveen says, I don't know if McVay is having a victory cigar since we knocked him out of the playoffs and won one more game to boot. Yeah, I don't know about McVay, man. Better the Hunt says, just my 2 cents. CD Deuce needs to find a new home. Run your pie hole. You best be ready to back it up. 15-yard penalty was proof of why others have let him go. CD got burned a few times yesterday. He got knocked around a little bit. He made a few good plays, but he also got knocked around a little bit. And sometimes when you run your mouth, you let that part of the game control you, and that's not going to bode well towards your play on the field. There's, just like you said, you've got to back it up. If you're going to talk it, you got to back it up. Yet yesterday was too big of an opportunity, too big of a game. Austin says it's not his fault at all. The offense, where did that just go? The offense carried all year. Good play call, just dropped. That's what sucks. Yeah. Better the Hunt. PFF. What's that, buddy? PFF. Steve K says 3 points or 6 points changes momentum, doesn't it? Puts San Francisco back on their 25. It's a totally different game after the field goal. I agree. Look, I wanted him to take the points. I'm not saying that I don't agree, because I do. I feel like in those games, you do have to take the points. So the first one, I'm okay with, right? I believe it was in the first half. The second one, I'm not okay with. Knowing what's going on in that game, I felt like they needed to take the points. At least we're looking at a tie ball game and still another opportunity to win the game. And when, the score changes, other things change. Teams may not be as aggressive as they want to be. CD Deuce. Okay. Lowest PFF score on defense. Yeah, he's going to have a low score too with minimal games in this season. But yes, I agree. I don't understand PFF's scoring system. It's all over the place. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, it's pretty close. It's pretty accurate. And I just don't understand it, because we'll see guys that have a far better game and their grade will be lower than somebody that really crapped the bed that game. Makes zero sense to me. But from the big picture, yes, I put a little bit of credence in those. I mean, you guys know I use those stats throughout the season, so I do put some credence into it. First half would have been 27-7. Yes, sir. Yep. Yeah, we would have been looking at a tie ball game. That's for sure. Before I go much further, I got a shout out to the Niners Empire. They hosted us yesterday at the tailgate in the Blue Lot 1, and did an excellent job. Really appreciate the camaraderie and how everybody came together for the game as human beings, and there was no shenanigans. Everyone was having a great time, and that's the way it should be. So shout out to Niners Empire. One thing I will say, though, is as Lions fans, we've got to step it up. I witnessed some things yesterday that I haven't seen at other games, and I definitely haven't seen it in Detroit. But the San Francisco 49ers have these chants that they do, when their guys are coming on the field, or during the game when a specific type of play happens. The announcer kind of leads them into it. But also before the game, man. I mean, their tailgate's insane. I mean, absolutely insane. So as Lions fans, we need to step it up this year. We got a taste of it. Let's go visit some other, away teams and see what they're doing. It's time we step up our game. We've got to have the best show, for everybody. I think it's time. Mag7 Life says JMO was the best player on the field for both teams. Other than Gibbs. Yeah, Gibbs had a great day yesterday. And JMO did too, man. When the way he fought for that ball, that's the second time I've seen him go up and fight for a 50-50 ball and come down with it. Rick Grit says it was 100% the play call on both fourth downs, throwing the ball when your running back is averaging 6.2 yards per carry. It was fourth and short both times. I hear you. I just don't know what was going on with the defense at that point. I mean, we were having our way with the defense the majority of the game, running the ball. And then there was a time there in the second half we couldn't run the ball. They were gobbling everything up. So something changed. I know that they obviously changed what they were doing on defense, but just like I said last week, I felt this was going to be a game that we would have success on the ground, and we did. We had a great game going on the ground. Matter of fact, 182 yards rushing, 29 attempts, 6.3 per. That's an insane day. And yep, why you don't stick to it? I don't know. I felt like we got cute at times. We did that flea flicker. Wasn't needed. Completely not needed. Just play the game. So there's a wasted play. Demo had the best day of anyone on our team, says Rick Grit. Let me look at some player. Let me do some stats. Actually, give me 1 second. I'll be right back. All right. Sorry about that. Crazy allergies going on. I didn't realize I wasn't muting my mic again, so I apologize. It's been one of those days today. Love the weather, though. Love the weather out here. So let's look at some stats real quick. Talking about how players are doing well, and everyone's 100% right, man. Running the ball was a big part of our game plan yesterday, and it was working. Jared Goff, 25 of 41, 273 yards. Now, I don't like the passer rating, obviously 88.8, but that doesn't speak to what he did yesterday, because in the first half of that game, he was laser focused. He was all in. In the second half, you kind of had to claw your way out, and we had too many drops. I wish that rating and QBR and everything would have, a ranking against the drops, but it doesn't. Demo, 15 carries, 93 yards. Jahmyr Gibbs, 12 carries, 45 yards. Jamison Williams, 1 carry, 42 yards and a TD. Jahmyr and Demo both scored a TD on the ground. Sam Laporta, man, best day of all with our receivers. 9 receptions, 97 yards. Guy was an absolute dog yesterday. Amon-Ra, 7 receptions, 87 yards. Jamison Williams caught 2 balls for 25 in a TD. But overall, let's talk about Jahmyr Gibbs' fumble. Is that what lost the game? If we're going to stick with blame, we got to look at the players too. Dan Campbell's part of it. He makes the decisions. But I'll tell you what, there's not another coach that I want leading this team into battle next year. There's not. I am fully confident in Dan Campbell's ability. And he was right about one thing. or many things, but he was right about one thing that I was listening to today. Just because we might be able to keep the majority of this team together, it's going to be hard to replace that fight and that grit and everything that they've been, battling this season, in staying relevant and in staying in the moment and being prepared week in and week out. It's impossible to know that that's going to come back. And a lot of that falls on the coaching staff to get your team ready. But we could potentially be without Ben Johnson. Last I heard, the Seattle Seahawks were flying into Detroit to interview him. And it sounds like Aaron Glenn may not be going anywhere. Not sure yet. But if we lose Ben Johnson, it's a big part of our team. Now, Dan Campbell called our plays through week 10 of last season, roughly week 10 of last season. So I'm not so worried in the fact that we will lose our offense ability. I mean, it's all there. That's why you keep Goff. Dan Campbell's an offensive-minded coach. He understands the offense really well. You're going to add a few key pieces. You bring in another offensive coordinator if, we don't bring up the guy that's been training under Ben Johnson. I always forget his name. But keeping that momentum, right? Keeping these guys focused. Getting back to the same work ethics that we had this season. In 91, the Lions never thought that they wouldn't be back, right? A lot of players will tell you that. They've reached the pinnacle. And they always thought that they'd be back next season, even though they missed a game and they felt like they didn't play as hard in that game or didn't give as much as they could have in that game because they thought that it was going to be next year again. They'd be right back, and they never even came close ever again. And then they get injured, and then they wash out of the league, and it's over. So Dan Campbell knows a hell of a lot more than I think we give him credit for. He understands how important this stuff is. And when you're in this moment and you're in this fight, you've got to take it all the way right now while that iron is hot, because you just don't know if you're going to be back. But I got to tell you, even though the odds would be stacked against me, I feel pretty darn confident in this Brad Holmes assembled roster, the core pieces of this roster, and how we don't have an extreme amount of holes that are really going to affect the team. There's a few, but I feel like we're only going to get better. The only question is, are we going to get better? And is that mindset going to stay the same? It can always wind back. We all know that if you get a couple of bad apples in the bunch, man, the rest of them can rot out pretty quickly. That's all it takes. Peter Van Larhoven says the 49ers haven't had any trouble, stayed focused for the last 6 years. It's a good point. Peter, who would you credit for that ability with the Niners? Right now, they're doing it with Mr. Irrelevant. I don't think that Brock Purdy is an amazing quarterback at all. I think that he's got an exceptional skill set around him with the skilled players that he has. Every one of them has great skill sets. He can rely on CMC. That's one thing I want to look at real quick. Talking about CMC, I said he wouldn't get a yard over 85. And I never did look. Christian McCaffrey. Oh my goodness, look at that. First, I said he wouldn't get a yard over 80. Then I said he wouldn't get a yard over 90. And then I said, you know what? Let's split it in the middle. And he got 90 yards and 2 TDs. And I think he had 37 in the first half. So that kind of gives you an idea. Brock Purdy, he had 48 yards on the ground, large majority of that in the second half. But I think that gives you an idea of the confidence that I had in our defense to at least stop the run. It was the passing that I was afraid of. It was the broken plays that I was afraid of. Deebo Samuel, I didn't expect him to be a huge factor. Now, his plays, a lot of them broken. Brandon Ayuk, big broken play, 51 yards. Otherwise, he had 17 yards the entire day. Only got 3 receptions the whole day. I don't understand how this imploded on us like this. I mean, I do from an analytical standpoint, but mentally, I don't understand how our guys allowed this to happen. It just doesn't make any sense to me. They had it all. They had it all right in front of them. Tracy says, I remember seeing AG screaming on the sidelines, what the F, because they had Purdy balled it up, but somehow he got out of that. Yeah. And that was like 3rd and long, 3rd and 12. And that's what I was saying earlier is, how does that happen? I'll say it again. Our chest had to be to Purdy. We had to be facing him. What I mean by that is your receivers are in front of you. Everyone's in front of your DBs. At least the last 2 safeties on the field, they need to play in that zone. They need to be ready to be over top of everybody. But even the corners, we needed to stay on top of them. If you're not going to go up and do press man, bump them off the line, then you got to give them that 5 to 7 yard cushion and be ready to come up and sneak up and, get the interception or make a play on the ball. And I felt like we did a really good job with that in the first half. Second half, it imploded. Rick Grit says there's 2 different types of "we'll be back" attitudes. It's okay, guys, we'll be back. All right. Or that's all right, MS, we'll be back. Campbell is the latter. Exactly. I trust in Campbell. I do. Tryon FN says we need a cornerback for this draft. I think we'll get one. I think you'll get your wish in free agency, honestly. And I believe not this week, but next week, I'm going to roll probably right into a little bit of free agency. I was hoping that I wouldn't have to, but there's going to be a lot of names coming at you, a lot of research that I've put together. We're going to have some fun conversations. We're going to be talking about the draft, getting ready for the draft. But this year it's different. And I want you guys to really understand that. I know you guys are all pissed off. You're sad. You're hurt. You're angry. You're all the emotions. This is a different type of offseason for the Detroit Lions. We are now a destination station for free agents and coaches. They want to come to Detroit, finally. I don't know why you wouldn't want to play in the NFL and any NFL team, but people hated Detroit. They disliked the city. They disliked the team. They disliked everything about it. And now that's changed. Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes, Sheila Ford Hamp, Chris Spielman, Mike Disner, they are all responsible for changing the scope of who these Detroit Lions are as an organization, who they are as players on and off the field, as a team, the coaching staff. It's all different now. And it is now, infected the city in such a positive manner, both financially, and the impact on the city's image. It's going to bring, the bigger, better names that we want. We don't just want you because, you're a name. It's the better football players that we want, right? And we're going to get an opportunity to interview those at some point. Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes make the right decision on who joins this team. Big shout out to the offensive line yesterday. They did do an excellent job. I think Goff only took 2 or 3 sacks. Matter of fact, Goff was only sacked twice. Those are kind of on longer plays too. It's not like they were immediate sacks. Goff did a good job at evading some pressure yesterday. But big shout out to the line. Hey, Will Scott, got to meet you yesterday. That was awesome, man. Do me a favor. Email me that picture we took because I didn't get my camera out in time. But nice to meet you, man. It's nice to see some Lions representing out there that are in the chat and joining the videos. Rick Grit says, facts, Detroit is the destination this year. 4 words, part of something special. Yeah. Can you imagine when we win this Super Bowl and how incredible it's actually going to be to have a parade? I think it's going to be the biggest, longest, best parade ever. It's going to be multiple days long. People are not going to leave. It's going to be incredible. Robert Welch says, what a ride. Can't wait for lap 2. Tracy says, I'm ecstatic because a lot, if really good things came out of this season. And I know we'll be back. I do too, man. I do too. Bruce Morton says, is the defense, nobody's complaining about the defense, blame Brad Holmes. If the defense, nobody's complaining about the defense. I'm not following that one, Bruce. I apologize. Mag7 Life says, I love my Lions. They really turned the corner. I'm with you in that boat, man. And I'm going to ride it all the way this season because we're coming back. We're coming back with a vengeance. I think that this loss is going to do a lot for this team. And I hate that I have to say that, but I feel like this loss is going to elevate these players. That hunger that we've had for so long is now turning into a burning desire. There's just a hot ember, burning in these guys' guts now. Yeah, they're sad, they're upset, they're emotional today. And they're going to go through it probably throughout the Super Bowl, past the Super Bowl. But we've had some all pros this year. We've had some rookies that have broken NFL records this year. We have a tight end that is going to be the best tight end in the country, in the league, starting 2024. They've got playoff experience, just like Tracy just said. They've got a lot going for them, but that burning desire now is going to carry them. It's going to build momentum, and it's going to carry them throughout this offseason to say, I know that we can get back, but this is how I'm going to get there. I'm going to work twice as hard as I did last year. And all of the little finer details that they just learned the last 3 weeks, those are going to help carry them through the regular season. You are going to see a different brand of football in 2024. Yes, 23 was great. Wait till you see 24. It's going to be a much better, more polished product. So look, I'm going to cut this one off short today. Like I said, I just wanted to pop on and say a few things, but I want to really prepare a full breakdown. I want to watch the tape. I want to take some notes, and maybe I'll bring in some highlights. But we're going to be doing the morning show on Wednesday this week at Rockdown Syndicate. So we're going to be doing the morning show 8:30 a.m. Wednesday, Thursday. I'll confirm that with Derek probably tomorrow when I get back. I get in late tomorrow, so I'll be doing some preparation tomorrow on the plane. But Robert Welch says our draft class has been gold for 3 years. It's not going to change now, and with us being a place to be is awesome. Man, our drafting is insane. The one guy I think that I would really be nervous about losing, it's not Ben Johnson. It's not Aaron Glenn. It's Brad Holmes. That's the one guy I would be afraid of losing. And I'm sure Sheila Ford Hamp is a very smart woman. She knows that Brad Holmes is going to get a nice bonus and probably a new contract this offseason. Dan Campbell will probably get a new contract this offseason. I would hope. I would hope that they do. I want to say that Dan's only got 2 seasons left, and Brad has 3 seasons left on their original contracts. Don't quote me. It's a guess based off of memory here, but I'd say you might want to tack on a few extra years to that if possible. Maybe that's something the NFL should do too, because, when guys move on to other teams, even if they're under contract or if they get fired, they still get paid. And technically they're still under contract. I wonder if other teams have to buy out that contract at all. You should almost be able to take draft picks for them. And I know that they've done that before with other coaches, but I don't know. I just don't want Brad to go anywhere, period. We need him. All right. Look, this voice, like Mag 7 Life is saying, it's not going to end. We still have a full offseason to get through, the draft to get through. This is going to go 365 days a year. We're going to be bringing you some sort of content. We'll be doing some different shows throughout the season. I'm going to try to dedicate it and pare it down to playlists so that you guys can find things. So if you don't see it just in a normal, playlist, go ahead and look at all the playlists on Rockdown Podcast Network. The one thing I am going to warn you about is the name is going to change more than likely to Rockdown Lions or Rockdown Detroit Lions once I get the answer on which name I should go with. That way it's just dedicated to the Lions. Rockdown Podcast Network will move to its own channel where everything is going to be, under a playlist there. So I appreciate y'all joining me in here today. I'm really not looking forward to going home tomorrow, kind of like the California weather, but we're having some fun out here while we're here trying to wind down and get back to Michigan and get back to work. Get back at it. We got a long off season in front of us. We got some big things coming up. We're going to be bringing in some guests and really try to break down what just happened over the next couple of weeks. And then we're gearing up for a Super Bowl party, some form of a Super Bowl party, or Super Bowl watch, something. We're going to be doing something together. So All right, y'all. I appreciate it. I appreciate everything you guys do for us. You're always the best sponsors and supporters of this channel, just for showing up, just for liking it, liking the page, liking the videos, sharing it with a friend. That's all that we ever ask. Just help us out in that way. And we'll keep on growing to more Lions fans around the world. So until next time, I wish you all well. I apologize we couldn't get the win yesterday. I promise you, I cheered my heart out so bad I couldn't even talk afterwards, but that's just who I am. So we'll see y'all later. Take care. Go One Pride. Go Detroit Lions. Bye-bye.